It started like any other shift in the Riverside General Hospital emergency room, fluorescent lights buzzing softly, the steady beep of heart monitors creating a rhythm, and that unmistakable smell of antiseptic mixed with stale coffee. But at 8:15 p.m., on February 19th, 1994, everything changed. That night, something walked into the that would haunt everyone inside. Her name was Gloria Ramirez, a 31-year-old mother of two, battling late-stage cervical cancer. Everyone knew her as kind and funny, always managing to find joy even as her health slipped away, but that night, she was different. Paramedics rushed her in after she collapsed at home. Picture this. She was conscious but confused, gasping for air, and you could just feel the panic in the room. The medical team jumped into action, doing what they do best. Oxygen mask on, 4 lines in, heart monitor beeping away. But then, within minutes, something strange caught the attending nurse's eye. Gloria's skin had this shimmering, oily sheen, like her body was oozing a thin layer of grease. And the air, it had this weird mix of fruit and garlic, something sharp and chemical that just didn't sit right. When the nurse tried to draw blood, the smell hit them all like a freight train. A thick, ammonia-like odor filled the room, and you could feel the tension rising. Something was seriously off, and nobody knew just how deep this mystery would go. One nurse fainted, another stumbled out, dizzy, vomiting. A third collapsed by the door. The doctor treating her staggered backward, saying his face felt like it was burning. Within 10 minutes, 23 people in the ER were incapacitated, collapsing, shaking, gasping for air. The hospital declared a level B contamination, evacuating the entire floor. They treated patients in the parking lot under floodlights, wrapped in plastic sheets like a scene from a sci-fi horror movie. In the chaos of that night, Gloria lay there, unconscious, her heart slowing down and her breath barely a whisper. She was pronounced dead at 8:50 p.m., and the remaining staff. They were absolutely frozen in fear, too terrified to approach her. They quickly sealed her body in multiple bags, placed her in an air-sealed coffin, and sent her off to the coroner's office. But trust me, the real nightmare was just getting started. In the days that followed, the hospital staff started to experience some seriously bizarre symptoms. Nausea that wouldn't quit, hair falling out in clumps, tremors that shook them to their core, and fainting spells that dragged on for weeks. Even the coroner's team that handled her body fell ill. Can you imagine? The local health department was brought in, thinking there might be a toxic chemical leak. Then the CDC arrived, decked out in suits and respirators, testing everything. For bags, blood samples, even the air vents. But guess what? They found nothing. No nerve gas, no industrial toxins, no radiation. Nothing that could explain how one woman turned an emergency room into a scene straight out of a horror movie. Then came the theories. The most rational one suggested Gloria had been using dimethyl sulfoxide DMSO, an industrial solvent turned home remedy for pain. It can crystallize and turn into a toxic gas under certain conditions, especially when mixed with oxygen. If her body was saturated with DMSO, the oxygen therapy in the might have caused a chemical chain reaction that released deadly fumes. But the science didn't quite add up. Experts argued that the amount of DMSO needed to cause that reaction would have been lethal long before she reached the hospital. Some folks believed it wasn't just DMSO. They thought it was something way bigger, something the government didn't want to admit. Picture this: a secret military test gone wrong, a bioweapon accident, or maybe contamination from some shady lab nearby. There were whispers that the ambulance had driven past a military testing range where classified chemicals were being transported. The hospital staff who were there felt like they were part of a cover-up, their reports mysteriously redacted, blood samples lost, and the hospital sealing off the 4 weeks without a word to the public. It was also fishy, and then, of course, there were the darker theories swirling around. Locals whispered that Gloria Ramirez wasn't just sick, she was somehow possessed, that her body was changing in ways nobody could explain as she died. Some claimed her body even emitted this faint, shimmering glow, almost like it was phosphorescent. Others insisted they heard her muttering in tongues before she lost consciousness. Sure, those stories were brushed off as panic-fueled exaggerations, but you can bet that unease lingered in the air. When the autopsy report finally dropped, it only added to the mystery. Her organs were damaged in ways that cancer just couldn't explain, and her blood was filled with bizarre compounds that the lab couldn't identify. The official cause of death, cardiac failure due to kidney failure caused by cervical cancer, but nothing about the mass poisoning or any gas. It left everyone scratching their heads. What really happened? The hospital reopened, but many staff never came back. Some developed PTSD, others ongoing health issues. The room where Gloria died became infamous, a place nurses avoided. Even years later, people called her the Toxic Lady. Her family, devastated, demanded answers, who turned their mother into a human chemical weapon, but none came. The county closed the investigation quietly, citing environmental contamination of unknown origin. To this day, scientists and investigators debate what really happened in that. Was it a freak chemical reaction? An industrial accident buried under bureaucracy? Or something far stranger, a biological phenomenon we still can't explain? When Gloria Ramirez walked into that hospital, she was alive, scared, in pain, and undeniably human. But when she left, she had morphed into something else entirely, a walking enigma that flipped science upside down and left behind a trail of terrified witnesses. Can you believe that? It's wild to think about, right? Whatever took her wasn't contagious in the usual sense, but it spread fear like wildfire, infecting the entire hospital staff. Imagine being part of that chaos, feeling the panic ripple through the room as people collapsed one by one. Even now, nearly 3 decades later, her story echoes through the halls of Riverside General, lingering like that faint, unsettling trace of ammonia in the air, impossible to forget and utterly baffling. You can almost feel the tension in those walls, can't you? It's a haunting reminder of a night that changed everything, leaving everyone to wonder, what really happened to Gloria? Her legacy is a chilling mystery that still sends shivers down spines today.